Right, we'll see in a minute if the live chat works as usual or if I have to do the pop-out chat, because every other stream that seems to break one way or the other. Let's try pop-out chat. Well, that's not even framed today. Right, there we go. I've put it on the mode again where you had to have been a subscriber for at least a few days to get on. All right, Lewis? Just because I found putting that mode on at least stops a few trolls or spammers coming on, because they actually have to have been subbed for a bit. But if you're obviously a follower of the channel, you would have been subbed long enough. Right, Brighto? So, sorry I didn't do a stream yesterday. Ended up being really tired yesterday after work. No, I was at work at the weekend as usual, Flazzy, and it was really fucking busy. So I was just tired, like very, very tired. Yeah, considering current prices, an M50 for $150 or pounds is a very good price. Yeah, right, so I guess your colour's upgraded. But yeah, hello to everybody. Adamoy, I wouldn't recommend you use them. Like, the less you use them, the less risky it is. But again, you're basically saying, I'm taking a gamble, essentially, every time I do it, so it's up to you. At the moment, Jazz, mate, you could probably get at least $100 for it. But that sounds cool, Lewis. I mean, the Beretta sounds the most interesting bit of it, but yeah, like as Brighto says, there's other filters that are GOST from the same time period that are probably safer. All right, Mike. So yeah, I don't know how long I'll be on tonight, because I'm already quite tired, because like the problem was I was completely knackered from work at the weekend. Yeah, well, as I said, new routers there. Since I've got the new router, had no issues whatsoever. But as I said, wasn't on this weekend just simply because I was just really tired from work, because it was one of those weekends where not enough staff in, combined with loads of people decided they actually wanted to go out. So, you know, just meant that as soon as I got home, I was going to bed each night by about 9 p.m. Oh, I'm the opposite, Lewis. I've been sleeping a lot, but that's because I've been working hard. Right, Rich? And part of the problem is as well, I think I've been forgetting a couple of days to take the iron supplements. And obviously that means probably my anemia has come back a little bit. So that wouldn't surprise me if that's making me more tired as well. So yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do the video on the MF35 or whatever it's called. So I'll do the video on this tomorrow. And then I'll put that video up Wednesday. Melatonin's to sleep, though, isn't it, Lewis? Like, I wouldn't want to take melatonin now, or I would just fall asleep on the stream. But yeah. So, video on this will be up Wednesday. I'm going to film it tomorrow, because I think tomorrow I won't be so tired, you know, that I'll not be able to do a video kind of thing. Because I thought about doing it today, but I think I just keep getting too forgetful if I tried to do it today, because I've had like brain fog for half of today since I got up, you know, where you just feel like tired, so you can't really concentrate on anything. So, yeah, video on this will be on Wednesday. I'll get a video done for Friday as well, but I'll do that during the week. I've not got as much on this week, which is helpful, because last week it was kind of every day of the week I think I had something on, plus work at the weekend, you know, and then that was really busy. So now I'm just kind of, my body's going, right, you need a rest now. So if any of the people who aren't from the UK didn't see the news, our health minister got caught, because, you know, rule for you, rule for us, got caught having an affair. So he's gone. So the guy who told people not to hug loved ones because of COVID was having a sexy time with his secretary or whatever it was. So he's gone. So we've now got a new health minister in. Apparently he's more keen on ending lockdown, you know, like completely soon. Yeah, he doesn't seem like a real person, does he, Flazzy? Did you see the Lotus Eaters video on him today? He's like an alien wearing a skin suit. Like, obviously, it's bad for his kids. I feel sorry, like, I legit feel sorry for the guy's kids because they didn't deserve that. But what a twat, you know, twat Hancock. There you go. Let me have a look at that thing brighter. The link. So they're all asbestos negative, are they? Because I guess Ashbest Nak Gawaishan, or whatever it is, means asbestos negative. So the MS4 is the bottom one. Yeah, that's good to know. So what are all those filters then? What's the LF10M? Is it the M10M ones? But yeah, it's good to know at least that MS4 filters are safe. You know, for the people who are saying about can I wear a GP5 filter, just get an MS4 filter. Well, I think the chat's broken again, so let me do the pop-out chat. Yeah, chat's working again. Yeah, the regular chat was working for a bit, then I had to do the pop-out chat. Oh yeah, I saw that, Lewis. And I saw that Trump did a rally and got loads of support. So, yeah, maybe Trump will be back soon, a return of the king. Which was the one that was positive on there? I missed that. I thought all of them on there saying Nak Gawais, you know, like Nak as in not. Or is it one that's not on that sheet? I'm really sorry to hear that, and I have no idea how to say your name, but yeah, it sucks, doesn't it, when you lose a pet? Mine's all right, Steve. I'm still quite tired today from having a really busy week last week, plus the weekend being really busy at work. I was going through that list of ROC posts that you sent me, going from the ones closest to me to like furthest away, and so many of them like have been like bulldozed or vandalized. It's like, for fuck's sake. Because there was one in a really good position near me that I hadn't ever seen for sale, but I was like, oh, that's a perfect, you know, position, because there's like a dual carriageway not too far from it, and then there's like a single track road, and it's on the perimeter of a field on the single track road, so access would be really easy. So I looked it up on Google Maps, and I couldn't work out if it was still there from Google Earth or not, because of the fact that, you know, it just looks really overgrown on the position it's on. And then on Subterranea Britain, or whatever it's called, they're like, there was an update from last year that says, you know, eventually vandals broke the hatch open and now it's completely trashed inside. I thought, what cunts. But saying that, if it's trashed as in it's just burnt or all the furniture's smashed up, you can obviously, if you bought one, fix it up if it's like that. But it's just more of the fact, like, who would go out of their way to go up to one, to spend ages breaking the hatch open just to trash it? I mean, I know an idiot is the answer to that, but it just seems such a pointless waste of time. Like, specifically going out of the way somewhere to find something to break into the certain trash. Yeah, I mean, in theory, Steve, I guess if you got the land and got the planning permission, you could do that. That's the only problem, isn't it, with the planning permission? Like, would the planning permission be very... I suppose if you owned enough land in the middle of nowhere, they don't have much right to turn it down. But, you know, why do you want to make a concrete bunker? Yeah, well, I mean, I know that, Steve, but it's just the fact, like, how far out the way it is. You know, like, I can understand a bit more if it's one like in a little village, and you've got kind of the drunken teenagers doing it. I can get that one. Yeah, like I wouldn't do it myself, but I could get it, you know, if it was like the local drunk teenagers doing it. But when it's specifically out of the way, somebody's had to have on purposely gone out the way to vandalize it, and that's what makes it weird to me. Because because that kind of rules out most people that would do vandalism just because, oh, it's fun when I'm drunk to throw like a bottle at something, kind of vandalism. Which one's the number 5 filter, Brighto? Or do you just mean GP5 filter? But we all know that's got asbestos in. Yeah, and he didn't know the camera was there. But here's the interesting thing. Why was that camera there? Because apparently it was hidden in his smoke alarm, wasn't it? But, yeah. What a twat. Twat Hancock. Now, hopefully the bloke that replaces him will be better. But, yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is, Steve, if you were breaking into somewhere like that to make drugs or do a Bitcoin farm or whatever in it to make money, I could understand that more. It's when people just do it for, like, they go to all the effort just to break something. Yeah, exactly, Flazzy. But I thought it said it wasn't positive when I looked at that picture. So yes, 6 is MS4. Because the one above says chrysotyl, and that's a type of asbestos, isn't it? Or chrysotyl, whatever it's called. It then says asbest nagawisen, so it still says the same thing, doesn't it? Essentially. Or does it mean like the others mean no asbestos present, and that one means chrysotyl asbestos present? I don't know, because obviously it's not in English. Well, there was a thing I saw about that, Steve, where I've seen the cannabis ones before, but yeah, there was one where they apparently had like an old bunker or substation or something, like a big concrete kind of building that would be really hard to get into. And it was draining loads of electricity off the grid. So when they figured out, they thought it'd be a cannabis farm, but when they got into it, it was a mining farm. Let me see if I can find an article on it. Here we go. Let me just link this in the chat. Yeah, does your OZK suit smell horrible? Because mine does. So, I don't actually know if this was a bungalow saying that. But they suspected it was a cannabis farm. The facility was stealing thousands of pounds worth of electricity from the main supply, according to the statement from the West Midlands Police published Thursday. Officers forced entry into the premises in Great Bridge Industrial Estate, Sandwell, on 18th May. And then they found it was full of GPUs or ASICs or whatever it was. Actually, yeah, it looks like ASICs there, doesn't it? So yeah, that might have just been like an old warehouse or something, but it was just that I thought of, making a mining farm. All right, Slaver, I'm glad you enjoy my videos. Right, Drunk Russian. I've kind of got some Russian MREs. Hype sent me some, but I've not got around to doing videos on them yet because I need to translate all the instructions for preparing them. Like the amount of hot water you put in them or whatever. Right, Isaac? Now, my favourite is still the CT12, but out of all the modern ones I've been sent recently, probably this one. Just because it's comfortable and it looks cool. That's cool, Drunk Russian. What's that, just in a random place? Somebody's decided to spam the chat, so you're blocked. Goodbye. You might be thinking of Max Mosley, Richard. He died not very long ago, but that was Oswald Mosley's son. But that was the one where he actually sued the papers for money, which was quite good because he said, like, well, what business is it of yours, if I'm having an orgy? And he's got a point, hasn't he? Well, it depends how you get that energy, doesn't it? If all that energy comes from eco sources or renewable sources, that's not a problem. If it comes from burning coal, it is a problem. It depends how, energy being used in of itself isn't a problem. It's more the problem of how that energy is created. Let's have a look. I've not looked at any of these prediction charts. So what? This is how they're thinking it's going to go, are they? So we've been flat for ages. And then what? The current projections, it's going up a bit. If everybody wore masks, it would stay the same, basically. But it could get a lot worse. I'm hoping it doesn't get a lot worse like that. I mean, I don't know, because it's hard to say, isn't it? But I'd hope with the amount of vaccines being given out that we do all right now. Nuclear energy is good as long as the power plant is made well, and you don't let communists run it, is generally the answer to nuclear power. Hitler didn't like Mosley, if you read Mosley's book. Bear in mind that I don't want to go into a political sort of thing on this stream, but like Nazism, as in National Socialism, is quite different from fascism. Like, Mosley is a lot more like Franco or Mussolini. And I know Mussolini got allied with Hitler and that, but I mean, fascism and communism are very similar ideologies anyway, but Mosley, I don't think, was like a race socialist like Hitler was. But in general, the Nazis were very pro having sort of Nazi kind of regimes or puppet regimes in the countries, but the thing is, Nazis never would have managed to invade Britain anyway, because it's kind of one of those weird myths of World War II, because, of the fact that the Luftwaffe were beaten by the RAF. Even if they weren't, they'd then have to destroy the Royal Navy using the Kriegsmarine, which they wouldn't have managed, and then they'd have had to use the small Kriegsmarine to land a successful amphibious invasion, which again they wouldn't have managed. While the Wehrmacht probably had, like, a better, the German army was probably better than the British army at the time, in terms of land forces. It would be incredibly difficult to actually invade an island like that if you've not got all the resources to ship troops across fast enough, because otherwise they're just going to get killed the instant they land. But yeah, the thing is with nuclear power is there's nothing really bad with it as long as everything's done correctly. Was that 120,000 infections per day, or is that 120,000 deaths? Yeah, what you can probably hear rattling, Isaac, I imagine, is just loose bits of charcoal, because generally over time, charcoal becomes a bit loose due to, it getting saturated. Just a dial on its own, TXC Gaming, or a DP63 with the radium dial. Because if it was just a radium dial on its own, I can't really see that going for loads of money. Although technically, I don't think they can officially list it on eBay, can they? If you follow eBay's rules saying here is an item that's radium, because you're basically saying here is an item that's highly radioactive. No, Drunk Russian. It's essentially, it's a very good source of energy, but like everything, it has to be done properly. You can't just basically cheap out on nuclear. Well, obviously, there's lots of other things that have had disasters from people cheaping out on it, but nuclear, kind of, the stakes are higher because of, the actual power behind it. Yeah, 50 quid is quite a bit for just a bit of radium, in all honesty. And don't forget, it's not pure radium, it's just radium paint on a dial. There's quite a bit of radium paint. Do they have the plates in the vests for that, DF? Because if it's the entire kit, that's a really good price. If it's the vest with the Kevlar filler minus the plates, that's an alright price, but not brilliant. I think Chocolate Muffin Mike said he's not streaming tonight because his microphone's broken. He's had to order a replacement one. Yep, gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room, exactly. Yeah, well, pitch blends can often be quite cheap because it's just basically unrefined material, isn't it? No, I've never seen size 5 S10s before, Steve. Is that absolutely tiny? Is it like a children's size S10? But yeah, I'm assuming, Chocolate Muffin, that Mike's microphone just kept getting worse and worse to the point it didn't work, so we had to get a replacement one. But yeah, you should be able to just get pitch blend for not very much, and that can be quite active. Well, Jimmy, if I did save lives, that's a good thing, but all I was doing is telling people that surplus masks are kind of cool. Oh, so it's a Warwick Davis S10, Steve. That's interesting. I need to do a video on that blanking plug you sent me as well. I'll probably do that after I've done the video on the Chinese masks. But yeah, it's one of those things where I keep seeing it and then keep going, oh, I need to do a video on that, and then I've not got around to it. Because I've also got some other rations I've not done videos on yet, but oh well. Yeah, has there been anything good in the news recently? Because all right, so you can't even hear out of it then, Mike. Yeah, fair enough. Right, let me bookmark his thing, Steve. I obviously didn't bookmark it before. 3D Design UK. All right, cool. That way I can link to his eBay page at least. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for that. Because I know you said it was somebody that did it, but I couldn't remember who it was without looking back for the chat. TXE Gaming, I was watching a video earlier from an abandoned mine in Cornwall, and at one point they were getting over 20 microsieverts an hour just from putting the Geiger counter, in camera-only mode on the soil, just because of how much uranium, like pitch blend, there was in the earth in that area. Well, I wouldn't wear a World War II gas mask for obvious reasons in a city centre with the pandemic because the filters are a bit more harmful. But yeah, but I have worn some masks, like full face masks, a few times. But now I'm double vaccinated. I'll wear a mask for like the safety of other people, but I'm not really that worried about anything now in that regard. Like, I know vaccines aren't 100%, but I think there has to be a point where life returns to normal and we don't start, turning into kind of like super like, oh, there might be a germ on that surface type people. You need to get 2 P3 full face masks. What would I recommend that is comfortable for an older couple? So I assume you want something that's like not too tight, do you? That you can adjust so you can have it like fit you fine. P3 full face masks. I'm trying to think what is currently easily available because that's the problem. Obviously, with Corona, a lot of stuff has gone silly prices. I'm going to see on AliExpress if that panoramic mask I like is still available because that mask is quite good. Hang on a second. Right, I won't be on the chat for a moment because I'm just going to be looking through AliExpress to see if I can find those good Chinese masks as opposed to the crap ones. Just because that will have worldwide shipping as far as I'm aware. Because, yeah, I'm thinking of it from, you know, the comfort perspective, as you were saying, sort of thing, rather than... Right, okay, so I don't know if this particular model of it, let me just delete all the crap they put in the URL. I don't know if this particular model of it is all that good, but the other model I've got is actually pretty good. So let me link this and I'll show you the one I'm on about. No, sadly unknown, Dad. Japanese gas masks are pretty rare to find also. So basically, it's this mask, but built for 2 of the 3M filters on the sides. Oh, the lighting went funny then. As opposed to the 40mm filter on the front. So I definitely recommend buying the proper 3M filters for it, not the Chinese copies of 3M filters, if you get one of these. But the actual masks should be relatively fine, because just to show you, like obviously, yeah, these aren't going to be as good as like proper, you know, really good Western expensive panoramic masks. But this, if I remember right, is a rip-off of a Scott. I can't remember the actual name of the individual mask, but it's a Scott mask, but they're actually like, you know, ripped off in the best way possible. As in, they've ripped them off to the degree they're comfortable and they work. Even though, you know, they wouldn't be as good as the actual proper Scott masks, but... So essentially all these are, it's just a panoramic sort of face thing with 2 straps and a mesh that go up. There you go. So yeah, these work pretty well for what they are. These are like the only cheap mask I've seen that, you know, reliably is made in China that's good. Compared to like the Chinese army stuff, which you have to know which suppliers you're getting it from so you don't get the crap stuff. But yeah, this works fine for what it is, and you can always seem to find the masks like this. So if you can't find this exact one, you should at least be able to get the 3M. Basically, if you mean how do 3M filters work, 3M filters like little bayonet things. But you can generally get 3M filters in loads and loads of hardware stores because they're right. You can actually just buy, Jimmy, specific P3 3M P3 filters or P100 filters, whatever they call them, because I've got a few for some of my P3 half face masks. Sorry, 3M half face masks. So you basically just have, you can get the ones that are combinations, like, you know, ABEC and P3, but you can just get little P3 ones that are like that thick, that just clip on the side. Yeah, Justin, see, this is the reason I really like this CT12, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's probably not that good. It's, yeah, FM12s and CT12s are great for what they are. Yeah, which one's the GVS Ellipse? That's like the chubby sort of cheek one, isn't it? Yeah, I think the person wanted full face mask though, Stu. But yeah, the GVS Ellipse and some of the other P3 like half face masks they sell over here now are good. It's just sometimes the stock are always out of stock. I doubt I would ever be elected as an MP because I'm probably not morally corrupt enough. You know, let's have a look. I won't read this necessarily out loud just because of the fact that I don't want to be flagged as like an anti-vaxxer. But yeah, I did hear a bit about this, and I heard the tinfoil hat saying that it proves the vaccines, you know, are bad. Yeah, I'll read that properly when I'm not on the stream. But yeah, it's probably just like a mathematical number thing, is it? That. Oh, and cheers for joining up on the thing. Yeah, our reactor on fire is excellent. But yes, I've been to Sellafield as well and got questioned by the police while I was going around there with a Geiger counter on the outskirts. But yes, I've watched our reactor is on fire about the wind scale piles. It was wind scale number 1, wasn't it, that had the fire? But yeah, using what did they call the thing where they did the it had a cool name. Where they did the, like heating it up to try and burn the stuff off. That was obviously a bad idea. But our reactor is on fire also goes out on about the Vigna release. Was it Vigna release? The our reactor's on fire goes on about the stuff before, didn't it? Where they put the filters on. The filters at least reduce the amount of radiation escaping. But yeah. Listen, our reactor is on fire is an excellent thing. Especially because they've got some really good old newsreel footage of some like the rarer British gas masks and like early NBC systems. Well, I have no idea, Jack the Film Fanatic, in the sense I've never really looked into it. But yeah, there's a conspiracy to do with that. That's obviously a dumb one. It makes me laugh. It's the driver shot JFK. But I think we all deal with a lot of that stuff. It's just pure luck, isn't it? Some of the time, like how badly or like little affected people are by ionizing radiation. I suppose one of the factors as well is, did any of the radiation get into him? As in, did he inhale or ingest it? Because obviously, if you get an external dose, that's far less likely if you survive it in the short term to give you ill effects later in your life. That's not to say it can't. Obviously, if you get shit like radium or strontium inside you, that's when for like 30 years they can be constantly causing, bone damage and stuff like that. Whereas if you get blasted by like a large amount of X-rays or gamma rays, but then survive the following weeks afterwards, your odds are a lot better in that regard because you don't constantly still have something inside your body that's causing problems. Yeah, Justin, let's hope we don't go into lockdown 4 or whatever it is. But yes, as much as I've cut down a lot of my drinking, I was sent a special offer recently and I've ordered 15 bottles of wine for 10 quid, so I couldn't resist for that price. I'm trying to think, Jimmy, because the problem is I can't actually see what's available in the US or isn't available in the US. Are there any of my US viewers on at the moment that know like any good like full face masks you can get in the US easily? I didn't even see the question, Unix, whatever you asked. Because that's the problem is, I know with the US, there's a lot of like the good European masks won't ship there due to shipping prices. So not anything too expensive, but just like decently good quality full face respirators for any of the American viewers, because I said the problem is I can't really know what will ship to the US or not. Loads are Giddy Pirate, but not the ones that you get from the thing yourself. What they have, I can demonstrate this because I've got the bag in here. Yeah, the CM6 is good, but the problem is I don't think a Czech CM6 would be supplied unless they bought it from Myra, but then they're going to spend a hell of a lot of money. What you'll get for essentially, is it that way up it's meant to be? Yeah. This is essentially what you get for a respirator. These aren't in the right prescription for me, but you get something like this, where they're fitted with your prescription and they'll have a way of attaching to the inside of the respirator. So what they essentially do is, you know, they plug into the inside of the respirator and then sit there. It's not really a perfect design, but it's what most countries use, like little spectacle kits like this. I mean, the M40 would probably be the most practical out of all of those, wouldn't it? Because of the fact you can just put any 40mm filter on it. Yeah, but the thing is, Guinea Pirate, you'd need to know what the kind of fitting the particular mask uses, because these ones for the S6 fit in the S6, they fit in the Israeli 4A1, they fit in the Israeli M15, but there's a lot of masks these won't fit in, because, you know, if they use a different spectacle mount, these aren't going to fit on the inside. But yeah, if you're really lucky, you might be able to, on eBay or somewhere, find a second-hand set that's in the roughly the right prescription for your eyes. There's always the chance that if you've got some old glasses, and I'd say old glasses, not your current prescription glasses that you spent a load of money on for obvious reasons, take the arms off the glasses, you know, so it's just this bit here and that bit, and see if there's some way you can attach them to the mask, like manually. Yeah, okay, that's a good shout for who was it? Sorry, that was asking. Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy, see if you can find Israeli 4A1s or Israeli M15s in the US for a decent price. I quite like Scott Pro masks. I've got the Scott M98, which is basically the military variant of the Pro mask, but they're very similar, and I like that a lot. Yeah, they look cool, don't they, Daniel? Gas mask insert glasses. But it looks funny with some of the masks, like, because the eyepiece is a completely different shape to the glasses part. All right, cool, Jimmy. So yeah, there's some ideas for you at least. Which one's it? Draeger Explore. Let me look it up. Because the problem is, loads of these masks, I forget which ones they are, especially when it's like a branding kind of name as opposed to military designation. I'm trying to think, have I got a Draeger Explore or not? There's definitely one Draeger full face mask I did a review on at one point, and that was actually all right, but I can't remember which one it was. Daniel, I've not bought anything radioactive recently. I mean, the thing I've got that's the coolest thing is that X-ray machine, and obviously I've got a high voltage power supply. Yes, that would be a really good recommendation for him, Mike. The problem is he's in the US, so I don't know if he'll get that easily. That's the problem. We've been trying to think of ones he can get in the US, and that I obviously don't know what they can currently get in the US. Ballistic mandibles, not as far as I'm aware. But yeah, let me show you something cool, Daniel, regarding radiation. That some people would say, "Oh my God, that's horrifying. Why the fuck did you do that?" I'll do a video on all the pictures when I get sent them. But we did some home done X-rays with one of my friends. So let me get the brightness to a degree where it probably will show up well on the camera. So that's my fingers X-rayed, if it focuses. I'll put them all in a video at some point when I get sent all of them, so you can see them. Let me make it full screen, then you'll be able to see. But now I need to minimize the chat so I can see the thing. So that is my fingers X-rayed, if it will focus. That's a VHS tape. That's the spool in the VHS tape going across, as in magnetic tape. That's the cassette reel of a VHS tape, if it focuses. The problem is you're not going to get much contrast on here. Now, that's the ulnar and the radius in my left arm, and that's the ulnar and radius that I broke when I was younger. I broke my arm there and the bone stuck out. And if I then zoom in there, and I've enhanced it, you can see there where the fracture is, essentially. You can see there, look, where the bone isn't the right shape, where it's reformed. Can you see that? But yeah, that's what I've been playing about with more recently is X-raying myself, which again is not a sensible thing to do, but it's only myself at risk. out of like pure dosage, Jack, or like just out, because it's hard to say, because obviously X-rays are like the highest dosage thing I can produce, but that's using electricity. It's not from a radiation source. If you're on about the highest strength individual sample I've got, probably the DP2's check source. Actually, saying that, no, I've got an old what's they call them, pyrotronic smoke alarm, and they have a really strong bit of AM241 in them. But the Soviets did. I don't have one of these, by the way, just in case anybody's watching, and it would be really cool to have one, but kind of I wouldn't want one for the same reason. Is the Soviets actually did a plutonium smoke alarm thing. I'm not making this up. The Soviets decided it was cheaper to put plutonium in some of their smoke alarms rather than using americium or, you know, another similar alpha emitter. So there are like random old plutonium bits floating about online as well, but I don't actually have any. And I'm not saying that because, like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble for it. I literally don't have one. Like, I've never seen them for sale. I know they exist for sale, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't really want plutonium, you know, because it's plutonium. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Wheel of Steel. It's when the government irradiates people, they get away with it. You know, it's kind of one of those shitty things, isn't it? That, yeah, nobody knew or cared because they didn't want to question authority. You'd have to know the actual name of it, TXE Gaming, and I'm not going to look it up and post the name here, but you can find blog posts where people have done all, like, the spectrometry stuff on them. And I think they found it was reactor-grade plutonium, not bomb-grade plutonium. But yeah, but the point is that there's still old bits of plutonium floating around from Soviet stockpiles. Modern smoke alarms are americium, not plutonium, and most modern smoke alarms don't use radioisotopes anymore. Modern smoke alarms use a laser because you basically get smoke to block the laser, therefore set off the alarm. I'd assume the 70s or 80s, Peter. It looks like probably when they were maybe scaling back their nuclear program and they had loads of spare plutonium. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, TXE Gaming, is I think in nearly every country it's illegal to own plutonium because of what plutonium is. Because it's not like, oh, I've got something that's a bit radioactive. It's like, oh, I've got something that's incredibly fissile, which is a different thing altogether. But yeah, like I said, I don't have any plutonium, but like I said, I do know that there are Soviet smoke alarms that had it in it because I thought it was a bit of a joke, and then I was reading like some big things where they were doing all spectrometry of these Soviet things. I'm glad you find the stuff interesting, Peter. But yeah, basically the Soviet thing, it looks like if you look up pyrotronic smoke alarms, the really old radioactive American ones, and that's what I've got, but they're AM241 as you'd expect. It literally looks like that, like the Soviets did a clone of it, but they used plutonium rather than americium. But like that's also the thing, is like you'd think the DP2 would just use an average size bit of AM241 as its check source, but no, stick a really strong bit of strontium-90 in it, because why not? The Soviets are really strange when it comes to like safe check sources, because of the fact I think maybe the Soviet idea of check sources is, oh, can we maybe get rid of some of our nuclear waste? I saw some videos of it, Chocolate Muffin, but not. I didn't watch loads of news coverage on it. I just saw, you know, where they had a bit of a pressure wave come out of it, and then I got fed up when like some of the news kept talking about it non-stop, and they had people go like, "Oh, I saw a bit of fire and I saw some smoke." It's like, yeah, it's a fire. You would see fire and smoke, you know. If there's no developing stuff on the story, it's a waste of my time listening to it. But yeah, luckily, I don't think anybody was killed in that fire, were they? I think it was like one of those things that everybody was out of the area at the time all the stuff went up. David, TXE Gaming, I'll correct you there. What David Han actually did was build something that created neutrons. So I think that's called a breeder reactor. David Han didn't create like an actual functioning power reactor. what David Ham did was put the right kinds of radionuclides together, or like, radioisotopes together with certain rare earth metals. So you start getting neutrons produced. That's not the same thing as like making a proper functioning, like power reactor. Yeah, Unknown Z, I've got several videos on it. All right, Tactical, so you didn't get a notification. That's annoying. I won't be on too much longer, just because like I said, I'm tired, and what have I been on 40 minutes or so already? Yeah, I'm actually tired. I'm not just making it up. Yeah, the fact that the Soviets just put plutonium in some of their industrial smoke alarms, that's fucking crazy. Like, why? I'm guessing it's, we have some lying about, comrade. It is cheaper to use this. But, maybe it was when they enriched plutonium, it was the stuff that wasn't quite good enough for bombs. But I don't know, it's just a very strange thing, putting plutonium in smoke detectors. I'm alright, but I'm tired. Which helmet? Are you looking at that one? That's the British Virtus helmet. It's basically the American ECH. I've done a couple of videos on it. It's a good helmet. Yeah, you tell funny joke. Go to Gulag. I mean, that's a Soviet joke, isn't it? A judge comes out of courtroom laughing in the Soviet Union. Another judge asks him, "What's so funny?" And he said, "If I told you, I'd have to send you down for 20 years. But yeah, the moral of what we were saying about earlier is if you build a nuclear reactor, build it properly. I mean, Peter, if you look it up, like, from what I understand, is it goes critical very easily. You don't need very much of it. So criticality is the thing where you basically get a huge release of radiation through an energy burst. So criticality accidents are normally what kill people with nuclear waste. So with certain like radioisotopes, you need quite a bit of it for criticality. From what I understand, with plutonium, you need very little. That's why they also used it in bombs for super criticality. But criticality is literally like you could have one bit of plutonium in your hand, one bit in the other hand, slap them together like that, and then you'd get a criticality accident. That's why plutonium is banned in a lot of places, because I'm sure governments don't want people, Well, yeah, uranium, plutonium is like the stronger version of uranium, like, because plutonium's man-made. So uranium is a natural thing normally. It's called uranium-238. Enriched uranium, like they used in the little boy bomb, is what's called uranium-235. Uranium-235 is also used in reactors as a fuel rod. But yeah, U-235 and plutonium, is it 238? I can't remember plutonium's number. But they're like the really scary kind of you don't mess with them kind of things, because both of those are very, very dangerous in terms of how active they are. Like, they have short half-lives, but they're very, very active in terms of energy. Yeah, it's also Cornholio, isn't it, made for like the webbing belt thing they have. But yeah, it's not a pack I'd really use. It's not really big enough. I just use it for storage. But yeah, thanks for saying that. But I did figure some stuff out like that recently, and I was playing around with webbing sets. Yeah, I mean, there's still some missing nukes, aren't there, in the Atlantic somewhere, where they had some planes crash carrying nukes, or they had to jettison them while they were crashing, and they like never went off, but never were found either. Generally every day or every other day, Peter, but sometimes if I'm having a busy week, and I don't stream, but it's generally just when I get time. It's always around this time of day normally, unless I could only do one earlier in the day, then I just do one earlier in the day. But yeah, they broken arrow incidents, aren't they? Wheel of Steel, when nukes like accidentally go off, or they have an incident with them. Because there's been some as well, haven't there? Where like there's been nukes dropped on like random US states, but like luckily they didn't go off. No, sadly, I do not have a Swiss M90. I wish I did. But yeah, I've actually got a DVD somewhere that's all about broken arrow incidents, like the amount of nukes they've lost or nearly went off. Yeah, it really would not surprise me, Wheel of Steel, because as I said, if you had like B-52s flying around constantly with nukes on them. Oh, thank you very much, Psychonaut. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you had nuclear bombs on B-52s constantly during the Cold War and they were constantly flying exercises with them, if you get a crash or some sort of accident, there is a chance that something's going to happen with a nuke on board. I guess that's why most countries, when they did those sort of training exercises, they didn't carry the nukes on them, but America did. And that's probably why that stuff happened a lot with the US. But you can find a massive list of nuclear accidents, like civil and military, if you just look up that sort of stuff online. Orphan sources are what caused the most danger for most people, as in a nuclear, like, radiotherapy or whatever source goes missing. All right, Wheel of Steel. Like I said, I can't remember everything about it, but I do know that they've had things like that. I know there was one, wasn't there, where the only thing that stopped it going off was the very last of its safeties. Like, most of the safeties on it failed, except for the very last one that stopped it arming itself. But anyway, I'll be off in a few minutes, because as I said, I'm quite tired today, just because, had about a very busy week last week with work and, just having to do random stuff. But this week I should be on a lot more and doing more videos, just because not as much going on for me. Ah, that sounds interesting, Cornelia. No, I didn't know about its like IR effect of it, or plutonium-238. But there's other plutoniums as well, aren't there? Depending on the grade of them, like U-238 and U-235. That's interesting, TXE Gaming, but also sort of worrying. But oh well. Anyway, thank you to Psychonaut as well for the donation, and I'll be off now. And yeah, I'll probably stream tomorrow. I don't know yet if I'm doing a members stream tomorrow or just a regular stream. $100, £100 sort of price DF. Depends if you get the like crate with it and everything. But remember, the PNV57A doesn't really amplify light. It's a Gen 0 night vision set. But anyway, see everybody. Have a good evening. And yeah, I'll probably be on for members stream tomorrow.